There are two things that can impact the growth and development of any nation: drug abuse and illicit trafficking. Of course, there are more than two things we can do to help fight these issues. Governments across the world have come together to draw global awareness to these issues in their observance of the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. Their collective goal is to strengthen actions to achieve an international society free of drug abuse. That day is today, June 26. Hi, I'm Theodore Henry. Welcome to Jamaica Magazine. As we join others in this international observance under the theme Health for Justice, Justice for Health, we have more to share about these matters and much more. Do stay with us.
We're taking justice to the people of Jamaica.
I am Delroy Chuck, Minister of Justice. The plea bargain legislation has been passed. Many persons charged with serious crimes are spending several years behind bars. It did not have to happen. Accept responsibility for your wrongdoing. Get a lighter sentence. Watch your children grow. Please, don't gamble with your future.
A message from the Ministry of Justice.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, June 26. Government says it will be reviewing the protocol and procedures of the 1997 US-Jamaica Maritime Counter-Narcotics Cooperation Agreement, commonly known as the Shiprider Agreement. The agreement, which was signed in 2004, allows U.S. authorities to board ships in Jamaican waters suspected of transporting illicit drugs between South America and that country. Minister of Foreign Affairs, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, says the review will ensure the greater protection of Jamaican citizens. It follows reports of the alleged mistreatment of 5 Jamaican fishermen by U.S. Coast Guards while in their custody over a 30-day period in 2017. Minister Johnson-Smith says the review prompted by that incident represents a significant juncture in the implementation of the Shiprider Agreement.
I must underscore that Jamaica takes seriously any semblance of violation of the human rights of our nationals. It is something that we clearly need to do. The agreement does provide for review, and notwithstanding, we think that the matters that have been raised in the public domain justify the types of discussion that we have already started with the U.S. government.
In the meantime, the Foreign Affairs Minister says talks will continue with a delegation from the United States that is expected to arrive in the island. The U.S. and the Jamaican authorities will discuss ensuring that checks and balances are in place to preserve the rights of Jamaican nationals detained on the high seas.
What we want is to ensure that we not only get first-hand assurance about their commitment to the spirit in which we entered into this partnership, but that our processes, our procedures, and our protocols on both sides are not only complementary and effective from a security perspective, but in respect of the protection of the rights of our citizens. That is what we hope to accomplish.
Government has secured a new S-band Doppler Weather Radar to replace the almost 20-year-old system currently at Coopers Hill in St. Andrew. A contract worth $2.44 million was yesterday signed with Enterprise Electronics Corporation for the design, supply, and installation of the system. It is expected to be commissioned in 14 months' time. Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Daryl Vaz, says the weather radar will vastly improve the meteorological service of Jamaica's monitoring capabilities.
The installation of this weather radar will greatly enhance our ability to achieve our 2030 milestones with its capacity to pinpoint the location and movement of rainfall cells everywhere over the country and as far away as Cayman Islands, southeast Cuba, and western Haiti. Jamaica will also be able to better serve the Caribbean community as we integrate our observations into the mosaic of stations under operation in the region, and also contribute to the surveillance of the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida, under the Tropical Cyclone Program.
Funds for the S-band Doppler Weather Radar were provided through the World Bank's Climate Investment Fund, Improving Climate Data and Information Management Project. The Ministry of Health and Wellness is advising the public to take precaution against excessive heat during the summer months, as the country has been recording extremely high temperatures this year. On Saturday, June 22, temperatures in Kingston hit 39.1 degrees Celsius, the highest ever recorded in the capital, and 3 degrees higher than the same time last year. At a press conference Tuesday, Director of Emergency, Disaster Management and Special Services at the Ministry, Dr. Nicole Dawkins-Wright, said excessive heat stress was harmful to one's health, as it could cause heat illnesses. These include heat exhaustion, muscle cramps, and heat stroke, which may be fatal. In addition to keeping hydrated, Dr. Dawkins-Wright is urging Jamaicans to avoid sun exposure between noon and 3 in the afternoon.
Restrict activities to early morning and late evening at the cooler times of the day. Drink water liberally. More water than you normally do before, during, and after vigorous activities. Hydrate with cool water, especially when hot and humid. Wear light-colored clothing that is made out of fabric that's breathable.
Persons who are most vulnerable or at greater risk of being affected by heat are the elderly, infants, and children younger than 6 years old. Individuals who are overweight and those with pre-existing medical conditions such as diabetes and hypertension are also at a greater risk for heat stroke. Signs of heat stroke include very high body temperature above 103 degrees Fahrenheit, hot and dry skin, throbbing headache, and dizziness. Other signs include altered mental state or behavior, nausea, vomiting, flushed skin, rapid breathing, and a racing heart rate. Persons affected are advised to seek immediate medical assistance and take measures to cool down, such as sponging with cold water, wrapping up in a wet cold sheet, or vigorous fanning. 218 persons have lost their lives on the nation's roads since the start of the year. That's a marked increase from the 175 deaths recorded in the same period last year. In a report released by the Road Safety Unit, St. Catherine North had the highest road fatalities, followed by St. Anne, St. James, and Westmoreland. 196 males and 22 females lost their lives in the fatal crashes. And finally, the National Works Agency has commenced work on a $19 million road infrastructure project in Mount Salem, St. James. The program is part of ongoing upgrades in the community under the Zones of Special Operations initiative. Roads to be impacted include the Mount Salem Main Road, Pigot Street, and Crawford Street. The current phase of improvement will involve road resurfacing and patching, as well as upgrades to drainage systems. Road repairs and drainage improvements have already been done along Peddlers Lane in the community. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
Catch up on the major happenings in the office of the Prime Minister this past week, next.
The country observes official period of mourning. Prime Minister leads parliamentary tribute to the late Edward Seaga, and the nation says goodbye to one of its finest sons. You're watching Jamaica House Weekly. I'm Vanessa Silvera. June 19 to 22 was observed as the official period of mourning in honor of the life and service of former Prime Minister Edward Seaga. The island's fifth Prime Minister died on May 28 on his 89th birthday. At the time of his death, Mr. Seaga was in the United States receiving treatment for an illness. Members of the public got a chance to pay their respects on June 19 and 20 at the National Arena, where Mr. Seaga's body was lying in state. In Parliament Wednesday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness led tributes to Mr. Seaga during a joint sitting of both houses.
Edward Seaga is without question one of the fathers of the nation. He was central in the campaign to leave the Federation. He was a framer of our Constitution, and he did tremendous work in advancing legislation to create the Charter of Rights. He shaped our banking sector and financial sector, our urban development, our trading and education system, our tourism and agriculture. In fact, there is scarcely any area of national life that he did not either initiate, shape, or advance in some way.
19 members of parliament and senators, along with 2 former prime ministers, remembered their former colleague as a nation builder, a visionary, and a champion of the poor. They also thanked Mr. Siaga's family for the sacrifices made during his service to the country in and out of Parliament.
Let me take this opportunity to thank his family for lending him to us, often at your own expense and time. But at this moment, you can be satisfied that he worked very hard in building this nation, and we are eternally grateful. May his soul rest in peace and light eternal shine upon him.
Meanwhile, scores of people gathered at the Tivoli Garden Square to celebrate Mr. Siaga's life at a wake on Saturday night. The former Prime Minister spent 43 unbroken years as Member of Parliament for the constituency. And on Sunday, Jamaicans came out in droves to bid final farewell to the former Prime Minister. Held at the Cathedral of the Most Holy Trinity, the funeral brought out local and international dignitaries and thousands of Jamaicans from near and far. In his tribute, Prime Minister Holness said Mr. Siaga never lost sight of his vision to help the have-nots join the ranks of the haves.
All his work, from culture to sports to education, justice, the economy, music, everything, all his work has been beneficial to the poor. Today, we pay tribute to a great leader, a conscious leader, a statesman, a visionary and a thinker, a man of dignity, order, and excellence, an indefatigable spirit, a man with the courage of its conviction, a modern man, an architect, a teacher, a father, a mentor, a friend, a man for all seasons, a man for all peoples. Now we lay you to rest, Papa Eddie.
Mr. Siaga was interred at the National Heroes Park. And that's how we close out Jamaica House Weekly. Be sure to join us next time for more of the news stories coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
Our justice system is an integral part of fighting many of the social challenges that we face as a nation. Challenges such as drug abuse and illicit trafficking. Through the expansion of court facilities and other areas of the justice sector, this year, the responsible ministry is on the move. The target is a first-class justice system and making Jamaica the place of choice for everyone. Here's more.
2018-2019, a remarkable trajectory for the Ministry of Justice as it moved towards achieving a first-class justice system, lauded and governed by the theme, the new face of justice. And that transformation to a first-class justice system continues for the 2019-2020 financial year.
We have significantly advanced the reform of the justice system through the modernization of justice infrastructure, increasing access to justice services, strengthening the legislative framework, and protecting human rights and freedoms.
This year, the ministry will continue on the path of rehabilitating and making new investments in the island's court infrastructures. Architectural designs are to be completed for a regional Supreme Court, High Court, and Family Court in Western Jamaica. Similarly, for the construction of judicial complexes in St. Anne, St. James, and Manchester. We'll also see refurbishment and restoration of the St. Catherine and St. Thomas Family Courts, the Manchester Parish Court, and the Hanover Parish and Family Courts. Similar to work on the Court of Appeal, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution will benefit from major infrastructural upgrade. Plans are in place to build 37 new offices, an upgraded registry, meeting rooms, discrete entrances, and new infrastructural features such as elevators by the end of this financial year.
But this new face of justice, Mr. Speaker, will graduate into what will be the mantra of the Ministry of Justice: first-class justice. Not only facilities, service, but the delivery generally across Jamaica.
And more legal aid is coming right to your doorsteps. 2 more mobile justice units are to be rolled out by the end of the financial year to serve high-risk communities.
So, Mr. Speaker, we will have 3 mobile units. Our people must know their rights and freedoms. And so communities, church groups, schools can always call the Ministry of Justice, and one of these mobile units will visit, spend a few hours, and give advice to the residents or anyone who would like information as to how they access a lawyer, how they access the courts, how they deal with legal matters. Because this is needed, Mr. Speaker, across every valley and mountaintop in Jamaica. Children are brought into this world as blank slates, and it is our impression upon them that determine the way in which they will operate in society.
The hope for many of our nation's future will be stimulated through the Child Diversion Act. With that legislation to be gazetted over the next few weeks, the Ministry will be implementing the administrative infrastructure for the Child Diversion Program in all 14 parishes.
Mr. Speaker, this is an area that we must deal with. Far too many of our children are at risk. Far too many of our young children are being abused, and they end up in wrong company, and we need to divert them away from these wayward behavior.
Do swear that I will be faithful and...
Last year, 572 new justices of the peace were commissioned. This year, even more will take office, with an emphasis on underserved communities.
Through the extensive training of justice of the peace, we are creating community leaders who can make greater contribution to making the Jamaican society secure, cohesive, and just. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, we have asked more Jamaicans to make themselves available to become justice of the peace.
And the Justice Minister is unwavering on the continuation of mediation training for our justices of the peace and other citizens.
We commenced discussions with some of our donor partners to expand mediation training, and have had several meetings with the Dispute Resolution Foundation and mediators. Mediation, Mr. Speaker, will be a major focus of the Ministry of Justice during this fiscal year and beyond.
The 2019-2020 financial year for the Ministry of Justice is marked by a mandatory mission to build a first-class justice system.
We are delivering on that promise. We have made considerable progress, and over the next few years, we expect every aspect of the justice system to become first class. We want and will accept nothing less.
While we can all do something in our own ways to help stop drug abuse and illicit trafficking, government has empowered many organizations on a national level to assist. One of the agencies that are protecting our borders against illicit imports or interdicting and seizing contraband is the Jamaica Customs Agency. But the JCA also does much more. Here's the Customs Meets the Community's 7th engagement session in Portmore.
The enhanced thrust in public relations and customer service is the driving force behind the Jamaica Customs Agency's push to bring customs to the communities. With this in mind, the agency made a stop in the Sunshine City of Portmore for its Customs Meets the Community engagement during the last quarter of the 2018-2019 financial year.
This is our 7th engagement, and we have taken it all over the 3 counties. And this is indeed a testament of our commitment to the people that we serve in Jamaica and all over the world.
One of the things that we normally say at Customs, we do what we do, we're not looking praise for what we do. Every day, the men and women of Customs, I can tell you without fear, we put our lives on the line for the people of Jamaica because we live here and our families live here.
And speaking about customs officials doing what they do, residents of Portmore received much information about the collaborative work that the JCA does with other entities.
Every mail or parcel that comes in and out of Jamaica goes through the Central Post Office. And the Central Post Office, because of that, is considered to be a border. Customs is a border protection agency. So therefore, Customs is there to conduct inspection on every mail or parcel that goes through the post office. And so the picture on here was a shipment of furniture legs. And in that shipment, what you have is marijuana. So there are plaques, and you recognize the faces, right? But inside the plaques is vegetable matter. So people are ingenious. So we can't just take it at face value when things come through. We have to use the technology available to us for your protection. And these things were going out, but when things go out, other things come in. That is to the detriment of the people of Jamaica.
The agency also shared with residents the procedures for importing goods.
All of us who import, we do have obligations. What are our obligations? Give accurate and complete information. We also have an obligation to answer truthfully any question raised by Customs. When you don't provide us with the correct receipts, we have to research the prices for these items or refer them to valuation branch, which takes an additional time to be processed.
Another significant part of the Customs Meets the Community engagement session is the opportunity for residents to ask questions and give their feedback.
Mr. Kingsley mentioned the auctions, and I don't think that is so much of public knowledge. So I'd like to know, how does the public get information on the auctions?
In short, if you import items into the country and they are on our ports in excess of 14 days, and you do not come for them, right? Customs will send them to the Queen's Warehouse. We have 3 Queen's Warehouses. And if those goods are perishable, meaning items that will spoil readily, we will sell them immediately. If those items are of a nature like a motor car, clothing, or any of those items that can be warehoused, and they don't spoil, they remain in the Queen's Warehouse for 3 months. And then we advertise them for 1 month, right? On the website, in the newspaper. We publish all our auctions, so any member of the public can come to our auction.
We have a question from Nenita Miles. She's from cyberspace. How can I get or apply for an import license? or what's the requirement for importing personal goods as a returning resident. Nenita, for the import license, then we'll have to know what the commodity is that you are importing, because different agency issues different licenses and permits based on the item that you're importing. So if you're importing a motor vehicle, then you would need a license from the Trade Board Limited, right? So you may visit the Jamaica Customs Agency's website and look and click on the returning residents link, and then you will see all the items that you are entitled to as a returning resident.
In true customs style, the residents received a first-class entertainment package from the agency's very own.
Under the boardwalk, down by the sea, this kind of bus make Christian cuss. When we have to ride for the big bus, we got some fuss. We have to ride for the big bus.
Also gracing the stage was popular recording artist Elaine.
We're rising, you and I keep rising. We're rising.
People of Portmore, or valid stakeholders, we trust that the custom team was able to respond effectively to your queries. And where we were not able to answer all your questions, remember we're available in all the medium, right? The quick dot response at JA Customs, public dot relations at JA Customs, and we will seek to resolve your query in the time specified.
With the support of the Social Development Commission, the Jamaica Customs Agency will continue its quest to reach persons from every nook and cranny of Jamaica, and will make its next stop in the parish of St. Mary on Thursday, June 27, 2019 at the St. Mary's Anglican Church Hall in the parish capital of Port Maria.
Here's a story much closer to home about a female who was trafficked from Haiti to Jamaica but helped by our local authorities. DSP Carl Berry recounts the encounter.
I recall though, one victim was tricked from her homeland in Haiti into Jamaica, where she was abused sexually for years. I'm happy to say that we rescued her, and we were able to put her through the process where we medically examined, we offered her psychological care and psychosocial care. And to see her recover from what she came into Jamaica as, a person who didn't know the language, couldn't communicate or interact. She was too young. She was near 14 when she came. To see her doing extremely well in the English language at school on other subjects really is a moment. Having rescued her, having with my team done the investigation, having visited her homeland in Haiti and saw where she came from, I know now that human trafficking is real, and it's something that we must do to ensure that we protect these vulnerable people.
Today's show has come to an end, but the pleas to help make Jamaica and by extension the world a safer place continues. If you missed anything from today's show, you can watch it all again on our website or our YouTube channel. And you can also keep up with the JIS team on our Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter pages. Tomorrow's show promises more, so do join us then. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Theodore Henry. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.